If we named you the Big Red Island, would you know what we are talking about? Today, we will be exploring the pirates' favorite island, Madagascar. This magical place was discovered about 500 years after Christ and is currently the home of animals that only live in this geographical space, which in size we can compare with Ukraine. But it is not only characterized by its biodiversity, but we will find a population that has somewhat peculiar traditions, such as one that involves its dead and another where they involve tourists. But not only that, but there is a specific one where the boyfriend must give a dowry. Do you want to know what it is and why they give it? Stay until the end of the video to see it, but in the meantime, let's get to know the island a little better. The history of Madagascar is fascinating and complex. This island, located in the Indian Ocean, has been inhabited by various ethnic groups over the centuries, from the first inhabitants who arrived from Africa and Southeast Asia to the arrival of Arab and European traders in the colonial era. One of the highlights of Madagascar's history is the arrival of the first inhabitants, known as the Malagasy, who are believed to have arrived on the island about 2,000 years ago. Over the centuries, various cultures and kingdoms developed on the island, each with its own political and social system. In the 18th century, Madagascar became an important trading center for Europeans, especially the French and British. However, the island also experienced internal conflicts and civil wars between different kingdoms and ethnic groups. In 1896, Madagascar became a French colony, marking the beginning of a period of European domination that lasted until the island's independence in 1960. Since then, Madagascar has faced numerous challenges, including political instability, poverty, and natural disasters. And since we mentioned the inhabitants of this island, did you know that from time to time they take the dead out of their graves? Well, yes, this tradition is called Famadihana, and it is practiced to honor their dead, and this happens every 7 years. It is a tradition that has been maintained in many cultures throughout history. This practice consists of remembering and venerating those who came before us, recognizing their importance in our family and cultural history. By doing so every 7 years, a cycle of respect and connection with past generations is established, thus renewing the relationship with our ancestors. This act of honoring ancestors can also serve as a moment of reflection on our roots and values, strengthening our identity and sense of belonging. Famadihana is a funeral tradition unique to Madagascar, in which the remains of deceased loved ones are unearthed to be rewrapped in new clothing and honored with celebrations. This practice is based on the belief that by redressing the remains of the deceased, they are granted a new spiritual life in the afterlife. Although it may be strange for some cultures, the Famadihana is a sign of respect and love towards the deceased in Malagasy society. And if we talk about the origin of the name Madagascar, we must go back to the time when Arab navigators arrived on the island in the 10th century. It is said that at that time, the island was called Madagascar, which means Island of Madagascar in Arabic. Over time, the name changed until it became what we know today as Madagascar. This fascinating island full of biodiversity has a very interesting story behind its name. How wonderful to discover how each place has its own story to tell us. To get to Madagascar, there are several transportation options available. One of the most common ways to get to the country is through international flights to Ivato International Airport, located in the capital, Antananarivo. Several airlines offer direct flights or flights with stops from different parts of the world, with the closest point being Antananarivo International Airport, a flight time of approximately 33 minutes. Another option is to reach Madagascar by boat, either through cruises that stop at ports such as Nosy Bay, Toamasina, or Mahajanga, or by taking ferries from nearby destinations such as the Comoros Islands or Mauritius. Once in Madagascar, internal transportation consists mainly of taxis, minibuses, and small planes to travel between cities and regions, although you can also rent a car for greater freedom of movement. Do you know who else came to this island? The pirates, yes, like you just heard it. Between the 17th and 18th centuries, a small island near the African coast, west of Madagascar, became the base and refuge for a large group of pirates who operated in the South Seas. This island, known locally as Nosy Baraha or Sainte Marie Island, was strategically located between the sea routes of ships coming from the East Indies, loaded with treasures. In addition, the island offered abundant fruit, calm waters, and resources for repairs and supplies. More than 1,000 pirates came to live in Nosy Baraha at the same time, some even with their families. For this reason, the island preserves the only pirate cemetery in the world, the Saint Pierre Cemetery. Tourist guides say that in the center of the cemetery, there is a large black tomb that is believed to have belonged to Captain Kidd, buried upright as punishment for his sins. Although it is also said that this island could have been the legendary Libertalia, a utopian pirate republic, although the two places have not been connected. connected. So yes, Madagascar keeps the memories and mysteries of those daring pirates who once plied its waters. That is why many tourists visit this island, for this and for a somewhat peculiar tradition that they have among Malagasy women and tourists. But not everything has been light for this place, as they have gone through several events that will define their lives. But before telling you this, we remind you to like and share this content so that other people know this impressive part of the world full of many surprises. Let's start by saying that economic poverty in Madagascar is a problem that has affected a large part of the country's population. Despite having abundant natural resources, Madagascar's economy remains weak and the majority of the population lives in conditions of extreme poverty. This is due to a combination of factors such as economic mismanagement, corruption, lack of infrastructure, and political instability. Many Malagasy struggle to access food, education, and basic health services, perpetuating the cycle of poverty in the country. Despite the efforts of the government and international organizations to combat poverty in Madagascar, there is still much to do to improve the economic situation of the population. In Madagascar, one of the main challenges for development is related to extreme poverty that affects a large part of the population. The lack of access to basic services such as health, education, and adequate housing, as well as the scarcity of economic opportunities, contribute to perpetuating this problem. Additionally, deforestation and environmental degradation are major concerns in Madagascar, as they negatively affect the island's unique biodiversity and the sustainability of natural resources. Unsustainable exploitation of forests and unplanned agriculture have led to the loss of natural habitats and the desertification of fertile lands. Another challenge to development in Madagascar is political instability and corruption, which have hindered the implementation of effective policies and the attraction of foreign investment. These problems have contributed to the lack of basic infrastructure in many regions of the country, making access to public services difficult and limiting opportunities for economic development. All this has led its women and girls to carry out some practices that are not so accepted worldwide. In the south of Madagascar, there is a local custom that forces women to have sexual relations from a very early age. This cultural practice puts the health and well-being of young women at risk, as it exposes them to unwanted pregnancies, sexually transmitted diseases, and psychological consequences. It is important to raise awareness and promote a change in this tradition to protect the rights and integrity of women in the region. The tradition, preserved by several ethnic groups, leaves these girls single at the expense of the men who surround their huts at night and the suitors who lose interest as soon as they become pregnant. And this happens because many girls move out of their cramped family homes in mid-adolescence and are moved into their own small huts, close to their parents' home, a rite of passage into marriage. And although this is also offered to tourists, perhaps it is not the worst part of the country. Did you know that Madagascar went through a genocide? Fans of the Flashman novel series may well have heard of Rana Valona. She thwarted European efforts to gain influence over Madagascar during her 33 years of rule, but also focused her energies on brutally eradicating Christians, neighboring kingdoms, and political rivals. So widespread were the purges and the use of slave labor to build a vast palace and public works that the island's population fell from 5 million to 2.5 million between 1833 and 1839. One way in which Rana Valona maintained order was Tangina ordeal, by which the accused was poisoned and then forced to eat 3 pieces of chicken skin. Death, or failure to regurgitate all 3 pieces, indicated guilt. Other opponents were simply thrown into vast ravines. But despite this is a very special place. Biodiversity in Madagascar is of utmost importance, as it is one of the countries with the greatest diversity of species in the world. This island country is home to a wide variety of endemic flora and fauna, that is, species that are only found in this region. Madagascar's biological diversity is threatened by deforestation, poaching, and the introduction of invasive species. It is crucial to conserve and protect these unique ecosystems to ensure the survival of the species and maintain ecological balance on the island. Conservation measures and environmental education programs are necessary to preserve biodiversity in Madagascar and ensure a sustainable future for generations to come. Being the 4th largest island in the world, there is a diversity of fauna species living in its ecosystem. From mammals like monkeys and anteaters to birds like macaws and hummingbirds, the variety of animals that can be found on the island is wide and fascinating. In addition, you can also see reptiles such as lizards and snakes, as well as insects and arachnids of different characteristics and sizes. Each of these species plays an important role in the balance of the island's ecosystem and contributes to its biodiversity. It is crucial to protect and conserve these species to ensure their survival and maintain the health of the island's environment. There is the giraffe-necked weevil, whose appendage helps it roll leaves into tubes for its eggs, the AI lemur, whose long middle finger helps it find larvae hidden inside trees, and the Malagasy giant rat, which can jump 3 feet in the air. Perhaps it is a landscape that many dream of getting married in, but before making that decision, we must tell you one last fact. There is an engagement tradition known as as vodiandry, or loin of lamb, which is a gift that the groom offers to the brides losing their beloved daughter. Although some might think that the boyfriend is buying his girlfriend, this is not the case. The vodiandry is a sign of respect and a way for the groom to thank the bride's parents for raising such a beautiful and wonderful daughter. Do you want to learn more facts about other countries? Well, you can subscribe to our channel to learn more interesting facts like in our video where we talk about Tibet. We recommend it, so go watch it, and we will wait for you in a next video.